Austin, you're headed to the playoffs, man. What a win. Congrats. How fun was last night?
Hey,
What's up, Austin?
I appreciate it. Yeah, it was great. I actually kind of liked those tips you were giving there. Kind of like, I don't have any kids either, so if you have more things you want to, make us aware of, I'm all for it. But
hey, you'll find out in due time. You're a married man now.
I am indeed. Yes, in due time. But no, back to the topic anyway. Yeah, great moment for us last night. Getting the win in Sunday Night Football. It's always a great time and in primetime games. And, for that game for us, did a lot more than just get us the win, right? Got us a spot in the big dance here coming up. And I know we're looking forward to this next game versus Dallas, and then we'll be on to the playoff picture.
Austin, take us inside the locker room last night, man. Seeing some of the clips on social media, there was so much going on outside of the game. Jeremy Reeves proposing to his now fiance, Josh Harris getting the game ball on his birthday.
Hold on, let's just ask him about that.
Yeah, because that was
boy Revo gets engaged right on the field, and all the teammates mob him. How about that story?
Was awesome.
Yeah, man. So some pretty incredible moments all around last night. So that's definitely one of the special ones to come out of that. I haven't asked him though, but I wonder if we lose if he does that still. That's a question.
I don't think he would.
So, probably not. Yeah, but
how could you?
Probably not.
You're just going to be in a bad mood and call her down. She comes down on the field. I guess you just have to do it at dinner this week or something.
Yeah.
Well, that wasn't the scenario, so I'm glad for Revo.
As Kanye West once said, I guess we'll never know.
Nah.
Hey, there it is. But no, yeah, a lot of great stuff happening, for our teammates and then the city as well. And I got to give a shout out to the fans and everyone that's been supporting, because last night it felt like in a playoff environment. That's what it felt like last night. Just really intense football going on. The crowd was very on top of it, into it, standing the whole game. Probably the loudest I've ever heard it in there. So, man, it's been great just kind of building this culture and, bringing some new energy to Washington football.
Austin, your story is tremendous. Obviously an undrafted guy. At this stage in your career, leadership is, I know, something that's probably huge for you and you take pride in it. What have been your messaging to Chris Rodriguez this year, who's been up on the active roster, back on the practice squad, kind of bouncing back and forth? And then last night coming up huge, breaking a big time tackle to get into the end zone. How proud of you are him, and what's been some of your words of advice to keep him, prepared for the moment, man?
Yeah, I think leadership is something that needs to be done in the appropriate doses from the appropriate people. And for myself, what I give to Chris is very simple. It's one of those things along the lines of, it's kind of cliche, but it matters for people to hear, is you don't have to be Superman, be yourself. You're a good player. Because I think especially in positions where we get brought up in a position where we're getting an opportunity maybe that we haven't had in the past, and Chris has had a few here and there, and he's always risen to the occasion. And so, hey, don't go out there and press. Play the way you like to play the way you play. And guess what? Your preparation and your strength and everything that you've been doing this offseason during the season will come to fruition for you. And that's exactly what's been happening for him. So, so proud of him just going over there. I'm getting him hype on the sideline just because I'm, like I said, so proud of him. I'm reenacting his plays. Like, Dad, this is what you did. You broke all these tackles, man. That was sick. Just keeping his confidence high. That's what I like to do. It's not necessarily a thing that you say to him, but an energy that you give to him. And when you can give people confidence, I think it really helps them feel like, okay, they can glow, like they're doing it, like they believe more in now what they've proven. And so that's what I've been giving to Chris over these past few weeks.
Austin Ekeler, presented by IT Cadre on Grant and Danny's weekly appointment. We don't have a show tomorrow, so he's joining us on this Monday here in the stretch run of our Victory Monday program. Austin, what about the final drive in overtime? You guys are lucky enough to win the coin toss. You go 12 plays, 70 yards. Jayden either completes a pass or runs on 11 of those plays, went 6 for 42 on the ground, 5 of 5 for 30 yards through the air. What'd you think of just that clinic in overtime?
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of seeing, a superstar be born right in front of our eyes here. And it's really awesome to be proud of, or to be a part of, I should say. And just super proud of Jayden. And every time he's out there making plays, I'm just like, man, this guy is an absolute dog. Like he gets it done in times where, hey, it's all or nothing. He's showing up. He's using his legs. He's making the throws. And it's so special to be around. And, it's one of those things where you really don't know how it's going to play out with the rookie quarterback, but I think Jayden has surpassed many expectations, to the public eye anyway. And so it's one of these special moments that, you don't really get too often. I kind of had one with Justin Herbert as well as another quarterback that kind of came into the scene. So I've been pretty lucky with my quarterback so far.
Shoot, if I'm ever drafting a quarterback, I'm signing you first.
You're the common denominator, brother.
For sure. Hey, I've been on some good teams with some good quarterbacks, some young guys anyway. So it's been awesome. My career's been blessed in that category.
100%. Austin, the one thing I want to know is, like, obviously when you were making your free agency decisions this spring, you had a lot of different options, pretty highly sought after guy, considering what you've done in your career to this point. You signed here in Washington. At what point did you go, wow, we could be something special here, man?
Well, you start looking around and you start seeing, like, dang, there's a lot of guys that were not here last year. So that's one thing I noticed right away. And it actually turned out to be a blessing, I think. One, because there was a lot of guys that didn't have, like, kind of established relationships yet. So a lot of us have been able to really bond and, get into a new culture and buy into a new culture because it wasn't established anything here with coaches or players that were here. And then two, started looking around and we got a lot of, like, guys that have been around, done some good things on good teams, maybe later in their careers, but still know the game, can play at a good, consistent level, can bring some leadership, can buy into a culture. And so that has been one of the key things that I think has really helped us put ourselves over the top as far as a culture standpoint. Obviously Jayden going crazy and our defense stepping up has obviously helped, but I think it's part of the result of what we've been able to put together as far as the chemistry of our team and our coaching staff. Shout out to Josh Richards, Josh
Harris.
And Josh Harris, thanks. And Adam Peters putting ourselves together because it's been a great ride.
Austin, every time we've talked to you earlier in the season, it was just kind of a possibility that you guys would play in the playoffs. And you've been trying to work your way back to maybe be able to play if that were to be the case. Do you anticipate being able to go in a playoff game?
Hey, man, like, this is one category it's tough to talk about just because you don't want to say something and something else happens. So it's kind of a week-to-week thing, unfortunately, right now is all I can really say on it, just so I can be in alignment with what is out there in the public. But my hope is, that I can get back and make more contributions to this team, hopefully soon.
I totally understand, because as you said, first of all, you probably don't even know really what's going to happen a couple weeks from now. But I guess there is a difference between you've shut it down for the season, or you just don't think you're going to get back, or there's still a possibility and you're still working toward that. And that's why I asked.
Yeah, exactly. That. And then, there's a lot of boxes that need to be checked with our concussion protocol and things like that. And, there's some independents that have to be put involved in that process. So you just don't really know. Like, you can check all the boxes, feel fine, but you got to make sure that independent also is taking their time to do their due diligence, and they also feel comfortable with you getting back on the field. And so that's something that's out of my control. So it's the process, and that's the one I'm going to be going through, and that will tell me when I'm able to, get back on the field.
So correct me if I'm wrong. You are eligible, at least by the rules, to be back this weekend against Dallas, but it sounds like you still have all of those hurdles you're still trying to clear, yeah?
Well, I wouldn't say all of those hurdles. I mean, there's hurdles that have definitely been cleared. I've definitely been recovering. But yes, this is the first week that I'm eligible to come back. Absolutely.
For sure. Hoping to have you out there sooner rather than later. I know the team could use you for the stretch run. I know you're eager to get back out there.
No doubt.
Big picture as a running back, when you see what Saquon Barkley is doing, and he's on the cusp of breaking Eric Dickerson's single season rush record. One, how cool is it to see another running back doing that? And then the storyline of, also, I don't know if you know this, Philadelphia finishes against the Giants in week 18. How cool do you think that would be for Saquon to break that record against his former squad?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's what an incredible story, and I'm so glad that they, have the clips of their GM talking about how, well, who's going to pay this guy, all that stuff. What a joke, first of all.
Yeah.
What an absolute joke. Look, if you have I get it. Like, there's running backs, there's people at every position that are like okay players. You're not going to pay those people, but the people that are at the top of the game deserve to reset the market. And they deserve to reset the market because they are impact player. I'm not saying every running back or every player is an impact player, but you push the envelope, you push the money towards the people that impact the game at a very high level, regardless of the position. So for them to sit there in that room and say, well, we don't think anyone's going to pay him is an absolute joke in my opinion. And I'm glad that he's doing it. I hope he goes and crushes the record and actually blows it out of the water, against him. So that's my stance.
Only 100 yards away and against the former team, to your point, with that video out there. And we're only privy to that because of Hard Knocks. Like, you wonder how many conversations, like, that's what they were willing to say on camera.
Right. Exactly. So I don't want to get into it because I don't want to put myself, put a target on my back. But
I think your animus probably comes from, like, there is just this disrespect of the running back position and pay scale. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'd imagine that's a factor with you being a running back.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I think about it today, Austin. I just looked this up, actually. So I'll throw these numbers at you, and I want you to kind of continue. But the last several years, there have been about 4 and 5 players a year that rush for 1,000 yards. This year, right now, there's 14, and there's another 4, Joe Mixon, Chase Brown, James Cook, and Alvin Kamara, who are all over 950 with a week to go. Like, we could have 18 or more backs run for 1,000 this year when we've basically averaged 5 over the last several years.
Yeah, and so look, you're talking of, again, I'm talking importance of impact players, and there's a lot of impact players out there at every single position. And what do you usually typically see with impact players? Well, you see some type of push of money going into that category or into those people's into their pockets because they are an impact player. But for a position to get put down because of the position, not because of the impact of the player, is backwards in my mind. I think you should pay your impact players regardless of what position they play because they make a big impact on the game, not because, well, this is a running back, oh, we shouldn't pay him and actually we can get him cheaper because of that, not take into account your impact of the game. So, you even look at, I think Derrick Henry got caught into that. Like, this man has been on top of the rushing game for how long? And he signs an $8 million contract, like $8 million for Derrick Henry, for a guy who's going to be the top, who's always been consistent at, these past few years being the top of the league in rushing. Just a disgrace in my opinion, and kind of really a backwards methodology of valuation of players. If you want my opinion. So
Austin
glad
Ekeler.
that Saquon's setting the new bar, and I think it's just up for more guys to continue to play at a high level. And I think it's just due time that we're going to get what we deserve.
Sorry for cutting you off there. On Grant and Danny with us on the Fan. IT Cadre question of the week, and you can see why we love having Austin on. He's passionate. He's got opinions, and he's got great insight and can kind of say it in a way that's relatable to those of us outside the league. One question I've got here that I like from Nolan for our IT Cadre Fan question of the week. He says, who is the best jokester or prankster in the locker room? You can take that wherever you want to.
we got a lot of personalities in the locker room. And that what comes with that is a lot of people that have their own sense of humor in their own way. We have this guy, I think he's on practice squad right now, or maybe he's just a bubble guy for us. His name's Hefe, but he is the one who is always cracking jokes. I'm more of like a dad joke, dry humor, tap you on the opposite shoulder, make you look that way, gotcha, type of humor. So, like, we got a bunch of different humors in our locker room. But I'll say I'm part of that conversation for sure for those that are kind of closer to me. And it's kind of people. There's so many of us. You don't get humor that goes across like a whole 75 of us. It's kind of in pockets. And so I'm sure there's some other funny guys on the team that I'm just not aware of because I'm just kind of not in their section of the team right now. But no, it's a good time.
Well,
we have a good time.
So was the interview. So was the entire time chatting with you all season long. We look forward to another one next week and hopefully a run deep into the playoffs, watching you on the field. Absolutely. Austin, thank you so much. Thanks, we appreciate you and keep getting healthy.
Heck yeah. Appreciate it. Thanks, boys. You guys have a good night.